Hello, this is TBI Gamer Dad. So, I feel better. Cassandra, let's see, done potty training, level 3 potty training. She will use the potty whenever she can. Doesn't like using diapers anymore. Communication, we're doing good on communication, imagination, movement. Still working on thinking. So hopefully within the next little bit I can get these all maxed out. Uh-oh. Oh, what's this? Knees. Oh, wow. No, you don't need him. You need to meditate. Okay. She's feeling better. Hey, okay. So, he's taking the trash out. Baby's still sleeping, but starting to get hungry. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Apparently that was a bit much. So, anyways, let's read. Controller up there. Get my book. Okay. Pendulum swings from spritz to skrinks. In everyday language, when we talk about pessimist, when we talk about a pessimist, we think of someone who always thinks things are going to get worse, even though they are already quite bad. As the saying goes, someone who thinks the glass is half empty. If this is where uh-oh, someone's grumpy. Uh, if this is all there was to philosophical pessimism, it'd be very uninteresting. After all, life is full of problems. We all know that. We also know life will always contain these difficulties. But the difference between even the most morose of everyday pessimists and a true philosophical pessimist is that even those people who see life as fraught with troubles may still see it as redeemable. Most everyday pessimists do think that the value of life can be re-evaluated and seen to be worthwhile when measured against some other good, like momentary pleasure or religious doctrine of salvation. But a true philosophical pessimist sees life as irredeemable, inherently and intractably painful, with no possible way to make it worth living. That seems really, really depressing. That is, yeah, like, yeah. Author Arthur Schopenhauer, 1788 to 1860, is arguably the first and easily the most influential philosophical pessimist. He saw the glass not only as half empty, but cracked and full of poison. But his pessimism doesn't stem from a depressive personality or bad childhood. He is a pessimist because that is the response he finds most appropriate to the nature of reality. Schopenhauer's pessimism stems from his metaphysics. That is how he understands the nature of reality to be fundamentally structured. Come on. Yeah, you're loud. No. According to Schopenhauer, the one thing that makes the essence of human life, and all life in general, is the will to live. This is the unconscious motive force that moves us consistently and unrelentingly onward. It is a blind, irresistible urge. Our will, our will apparently finds expression through our choices and attempts to meet goals. but it marks even the most unmotivated among us. Even those poor saps caught in the waiting place manifest the life, the will to life. As they wait for a phone to ring, or snow to snow, or a pot to boil, or a better break, the will to life is acting through them, and they are still driven to something. There are always urges. We are always striving, even when it looks like we're standing still. And Dr. Seuss's books always depict people this way. The character always wants something new or different, and always better and grander than what has come before. From King Derwin's Oobleck to Morris McGurkus, from the most outrageous zoo populated with the most fantastical animals known to Seussdom, to the most perfect and ridiculous plate of scrambled eggs. All his characters are striving, and the stories often revolve around the obstacles and problems that come from trying to do fabulous things. When one tries to do grand things, one is bound to stumble often and encounter grand obstacles. Striving necessarily brings failure, disappointment, and pain. But when the going gets tough, Seuss never calls it quits. His characters never give in and become pessimists. Yet Schopenhauer draws a different lesson from the hang-ups and bang-ups that accompany life's challenges. Wow. And I got a little blurb. Oh! Level 5 communication developed her verbal skills. She can now tell stories, tell goofy stories, and talk about dinosaurs. Nice! Is 5 the top skill? 5 is the top skill. Oh, so now all we gotta do is work on that thinking skill. Of course, she's tired, obviously. Uh-oh. She hasn't even gotten there yet. What's she grumpy about? Oh, tuck me in.
Nada. Huh? Ah! Huh.
Huh.
Video games. Ah. Uh-huh.
Prime Empire. Ooh. 0 points. Everybody has a skill point thing. Experience bar. No idea. Okay. Well, back at it. We have long since recognized that striving, where it manifests itself most distinctly in the light of the fullest consciousness, is called will. We call its hindrance through an obstacle placed between it and its temporary goal, suffering. Its attempt of the goal, satisfaction. All striving springs from what or deficiency from dissatisfaction with one's state or condition, and is therefore suffering so long as it is not satisfied. No, it's lottery. Is not satisfied. No satisfaction, however, is lasting. It is always merely the starting point of a fresh striving. Thus, that there is no ultimate aim for striving means that there is no measure or end of suffering. Interesting. Well, as we continually see in Seuss, as the characters strive, they will succeed, at times. But these successes are short lived. They are often the beginning of a new crisis or problem that must be met with a fresh striving. And all of these small victories are temporary, leading time and again to new failures, or perhaps further small victories, thus marking life as a perpetual striving punctuated with short lived satisfaction. Or, as Schopenhauer so poetically puts it, life swings like a pendulum, to and from, between pain and boredom, and these two are in fact its ultimate constituents. Schopenhauer is bleak. Schopenhauer's is bleak. He sees only death as the end to all our longing, all our long, painful journey. Life itself is a sea full of rocks and whirlpools that man avoids with the greatest caution and care. Although he knows that even when he succeeds with all his efforts and ingenuity in struggling through, at every step he becomes nearer to the greatest and total, the inevitable and irredeemable shipwreck. Indeed, even steers right into it, namely death. So thank goodness you're only old once. Schopenhauer would have made a lousy children's author. We wouldn't want to read such assessments of life to our children unless we wanted to drive them into uh, drive them to a heroin or suicide. Oh, drive them to heroin or suicide. No. So Seuss, without denying that life is speckled with failures, finds answers to to these problems. That is, the way to value life positively in the face of the inevitable and unavoidable pain that marks so much of it. How can Seuss do this? How can he look at and acknowledge all the pain and suffering that accompanies so much of life? A smile and smile through it, offering sunshine and roses at the end of the day. Okay, so kid's grumpy, kid's hungry. We're still at 2 speed. Now we're at 1 speed. Is somebody taking care of the kid? Somebody's taking care of the kid. Ooh, excuse me. There it is. What would you do if your kids asked you? 3 o'clock.
Soso. Juanita.
Oh.
Oh.
Shanku.
Ah, nice.
Lost Begor.
Karu. Korba. Korna.
You know, honestly, she doesn't need to play the lottery, but you know, why not purchase lottery ticket?
Kid Luna.
She can't purchase lottery ticket, but he can. Purchase lottery ticket. Oh, battery's low. Oh, there's one. 1, 2, 3. Cool. There it is. What would you do if your kids asked you? There are several responses we tend to give to deal with problems of suffering. 3 frequent offered responses find expression in Seuss's work. In all the places you'll go, we're told that despite all the bumps and slumps, we will succeed. All the pain and suffering of our lives is redeemed because it leads eventually to success. In the end, we'll come out on top. Really? In the end, aren't we all dead? Just as Schopenhauer iterated above? Won't avoiding all the whirlpools and hacking cracks, cracks merely delay the inevitable? And even if success is possible, ought we offer such a promising future to all children? When our children lament their suffering, should we promise success as if their lives will turn out all right in the end? Don't we know better? Haven't we lived long enough to know most lives don't end well? They merely dissolve into obscurity after years of disappointments. Maybe such naive optimism and how promises is delusional. Is delusional. A lie we tell our kids so they can cope until they realize that we already know. It seems that for a true pessimist, oh, the places you'll go offers less than adequate response, and perhaps an intellectually dishonest one. But there are other alternatives. It could be worse. This is a common response we've all heard from our parents, and we all still often rely on it. It could be worse, and surely this is true. It could always be worse than it presently is, until you're dead. And then you're dead, so why bother? So yes, it can always be worse, but how is this supposed to help us deal with the pain we're constantly feeling? Did it ever in Did I ever tell you how lucky you are? Seuss offers this very answer to a complaining child. The boy, lovingly referred to as Ducky, has apparently been heard complaining about how rough his life is. A wise man sitting on top of a cactus decides to set him straight.
Huh?
The wise man answers the child's incessant whining is simple. I'm telling you, Ducky, some people are ever so muchly more unlucky than you. In fact, you ought to be shouting, how lucky am I? Parentheses, lucky. And surely this is true. Ducky is much better off than those caught in traffic on Zayat Highway 8 and poor Herbie Hart, Ali Sard, or Mr. Bix, who all have considerable troubles to face. Ducky is far better off than Mr. Potter, the Hatcher Bee Watcher, Professor De Breeze, and all of the brothers Bazoo. I have some stories to read, apparently. I thought I read like a lot of Dr. Seuss, but apparently I have not. Um, Back to the book. He has none of their problems, all of which would seem to make any ducky might encounter pale in comparison. And so it is for all of us, for any trouble you might have, and it doesn't matter how serious or grave it might be. We can come up with how either it could be worse or find an example of someone who is muchly more muchly more unlucky than you. But what does this do for you? Do you feel better because you're not as bad off as someone else, or do you just recognize that everyone has it tough? This doesn't seem too
Famous
helpful.
band trip.
What
Shufflet.
kind of life is one
Fallen Narble.
built off
Bin back. Yeah.
Schadenfreude?
Narble. Milshaba.
Oh,
No idea.
Bro.
Should our lives become meaningful because
yeah,
we
Sharma
either
Guru on
realize
Almost.
they're not as bad as they could be, or still worse, we take pleasure or comfort in knowing that others have it considerably worse? Hmm. So, what other response might we or Dr. Seuss offer? Wow. Oh, excuse me. Oh, we're almost there. Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Oppenheimer.
In Your Only Old Ones, we are offered another response. Deal with it. That's awesome. In this book, we follow a poor sap who is supposed to represent the reader's inevitable old age through the golden years clinic. What we witness is the infliction
No.
of numerous tests and procedures that check everything from the eyes to allergies. And what does our sap get for his troubles? When at last we are sure we probably. Okay. When at last we are sure you've probably pilled, properly pilled, then a few paper forms must be properly filled so that you and your heirs may be properly billed. But it's over now, so you may leave and be content. You're in pretty good shape for the shape you're in. Old. Parentheses. Old. In this tale, the proffered, proffered response to our trials and tribulations is a mix of the previous two. Pain is temporary, you'll get through it, and really it's not that bad anyways. Or anyway, the doctor's office is a perfect setting to teach this lesson. Doctors make us better, but we're never done being made better. They can always find something wrong, something that needs poked, prodding, pilling, and billing. And each solution leads to further problems or just postpones the inevitable. Insoluble problems of total body failure, death. So is the message that it's all temporary and not really that bad. Supposed to make us feel better? Is life worth living? Or is it like a trip to the doctor? Something that, for the most part, can be tolerated until it's over. Our poor sap has incurred enormous debt, has been given rigorous pill regimen, and sent
Thanks,
on his way.
Oppenheimer.
But we know he'll return to suffer it all again. Or maybe he won't. His next trip might be to the morgue. Might be to the morgue. Nice. Ultimately, the only cure for life is its end. As Socrates mentioned in Phaedo, on our deathbed, perhaps our most fitting action would be to sacrifice a clock to
Oh,
Asclepius? Asclepius.
Bobby, yeah.
Asclepius? I don't know. Excuse me. But this attitude doesn't redeem our lives. Instead, it tells us to bear with it. It'll be over soon. Life is to be endured. Nice. All three of the above responses to pain and suffering of life seem unsatisfactory. If life is marked by pain, and pain is the direct result of our constant striving and willing, then so long as we strive, we will be inflicted with the pain of existence. No matter how much we lie to ourselves that it'll be okay in the end, it won't. There will always be new troubles and failures. We can endure this by telling ourselves that it could be worse, and no matter how bad it is, it's temporary. But if life is fundamental a problem, but if life is still fundamentally a problem, sometimes to be endured, cured, or if possible avoided, Schopenhauer offers a response as well. Yay. For Schopenhauer answers, we look no further than the top of the nearest cactus. Here we find our ascetic, one who has chosen to deal with the pain of existence by refusing to participate. If the pain is caused by willing and striving, then quieting your will is the solution. Simply stop striving. No, this is easier said than done. After all, if we are at the at root, it will. If we are at root, will. And if will is an unconscious striving that pushes us forward, it seems to a great extent out of our control. We can try to stop, but truly ceasing to will or strive is going to be the result of nothing short of grace. So Schopenhauer's response is self renunciation to the best of our ability. You repudiate this life for constant struggle and failure. Cease to will and thus escape the pain of life as much as possible until released through the death of this mortal body. In fact, nothing else can be stated as the aim of our existence except the knowledge that it would be better for us not to exist. Life is a disease for which the cure is to stop participating. The answer to the game of life is simply to refuse to play. Yet Seuss never gave this response. In fact, he goes out of his way to avoid concluding that we should just stop trying. But why do so if pain is the inevitable result? I don't think I like this chapter. I mean, I get the point. I understand, but it's depressing, pessimistic. Pessimistic. I don't like being pessimistic. I've been pessimistic before, but I don't like it. The will for me to live every day is to teach and raise my kids to be a better all around person than I am. So they can teach their kids, God's willing, you know, universe, whatever. So they can teach their kids values and make them better. And if I am hoping that it'll last more than 3 generations, but if I can make them help them to understand that this is a progressionary thing. I mean, I can change the world. 10, 20 generations, but I could change the world. Study philosophy, teach my kids good lessons, try to get them, keep them from avoiding abusive and toxic people. Am I going to be able to? No, probably not. But if they teach their kids and they teach their kids, who knows? Eventually, it might get to the place that everybody's open and honest and means what they say and say what they mean. I don't know. Just my thoughts. Okay, so I believe got three more sections where they never have troubles. Yeah. I think I'm going to take off a little bit early, 45 minutes roughly. Um, so this is TBI Gamer Dad. Be thoughtful, be thankful, be appreciative, and I will catch you later.